Hey everyone, I'm back with some more interesting information about Bruges. Thank you all for following and subscribing, so please share and like. I was reading some more interesting history on Bruges and I found out which was the very first military unit ever founded and based in Bruges. And this was kind of a surprise. This is a story the British are going to love, and maybe some of you will say, no, really? The year is 1651 and King Charles I is kindly requested to step down. Well, kindly requested, he was executed. There's a funny little detail about this. For his execution, he asked to have two shirts to wear. That way, he wouldn't shiver too much and give the impression he was not afraid of the executioner. At that time, England was a republic, with Protector Oliver Cromwell leading the country. The son of Charles I, his name was, surprisingly enough, Charles II, could get away from the executions by escaping on time to the mainland. He stayed a while in Paris, spent some time in Cologne, and finally chose the quiet but still very prestigious Bruges. He arrived here on April 23, 1656, with his brothers Henry, Duke of Gloucester, and James, Duke of York. He moved into a house complex on the Hoogstraat, that is, the High Street. Charles II's stay in Bruges didn't go unnoticed. It's not difficult if you have 175 people of personnel behind you. He had already the nickname of the Merry Monarch, and he lived up to it. He was an active member of the Bruges Archer Societies of St. Sebastian's for the longbow, St. George for the crossbow, and St. Barbara for the arquebuses. He was member of the Longbow Society of St. Sebastian's, but did you know that the British Queen, Her Royal Highness Elizabeth II, is a member of this society today? Prince Charles became a member in 1974. So Bruges has really close connections with the British Islands. But let's go back to Charles II. It was in Bruges he took the first steps in preparation on returning to England to claim his throne. Already a few weeks after arriving in Bruges, the recruitment of a new army started. He found volunteers among the English refugees, but also with the people of the city. It is through those Flemish soldiers who went with Charles, stayed in England, they had an influence on the language. We know a tattoo. It's not a painting of the skin, but the military evening parade. That's an example of that influence on the language. I think almost everyone knows the famous Tattoo of Edinburgh. The word tattoo comes from the Flemish tap toe, or closing the barrel. Maybe you know this as last call? Not a popular sign when in celebration with your friends in arms. Because it wasn't so popular, they gave the signal in the form of a musical event with a band or a parade. But I was going to talk about a unit. I promised you that. With that mix of English and Flemish soldiers, Charles created the unit, the Royal Regiment of Guards. And when you see the first uniforms, you won't know what I'm talking about here. The name of the unit changed somewhere in time to the 1st Regiment of Foot Guards. And much later, after the battle at Waterloo, where this unit was victorious over the French Grenadiers of Napoleon, there was one last change of name into the 1st or Grenadier Regiment of Foot Guards. Still no bell that rings? After the victory over the French Grenadiers of Napoleon, the Garde Impériale, the uniform changed to what we know today. The bearskins are the most known items on their uniform. The scarlet vest is also pretty known. It's this unit that marches into Brussels in 1944 after liberating it from the German troops. So that's the most famous unit of Great Britain, founded right here in Bruges. And when you're visiting London and you're taking a picture next to one of those guys, think about this one.